guys. Okay. So here's how today is going to work. Okay. So if you look at the cloud cover behind me, I've been here for what, just a little over 10 days now, and it seems like it's rained 60 to 70% of the time. It just does not stop raining here. It's getting frustrating. Not only that, it's also getting frustrating that it's calm all day, and as soon as I decide, hey, I want to do a live stream, it's like, here comes 10 and 20 mile an hour gusts. So I do apologize about the wind, guys. I can't do anything about it. Unless you're in the Pacific Northwest, everywhere you go, it is like a constant windstorm, and it's really irritating, honestly. It was one of the things I hated about being in San Francisco, because being close to the bay, it was a constant gust. You couldn't actually put your hair up, like if you wanted to style your hair, you had to use so much hair gel that it was just crazy. And that's probably one of my biggest pet peeves about being outside, is I hate the wind more than I hate the rain. Because when you're trying to do something, here comes the wind. But when all of a sudden, you have nothing to do, it's calm as calm could be. But the second you're like, okay, time to put my camp down, it's like, here comes the gusts. So anyways, I wanted to fill a little bit of time while we wait for people to come in. So I'm going to go ahead and talk about today's subject, and I titled it a little bit differently than what you see there, in the title screen, which is basically how we got here to this point. One of the things that has always interested me about history, or just interested me in general, is that with history, it'll tell you how you got to where you are, so that you can have a better understanding of the environment that you have around you. And if you do your research properly, hey Joe, nice to see you. If you do your research properly, by the end of it, instead of being upset, like they screwed us, you have such a full understanding, like, okay, now I understand the rules of the game. Now I get to play. Okay, so a lot of this has started, and we were warned many years ago. I mean, if you really want to go back in history and kind of look at the warnings, this has been going on for almost 100 years. So in the 1930s, the Ford Foundation, they did a paper, and this would be the prequel to Global 2000, Agenda 2030, Agenda 2020, Agenda 2050, and all that other stuff. This is actually what started it. So it was actually started by a report put out by the Ford Foundation in the 1930s. They were doing a study on resources, and they wanted to see how the resources would play out in the future. Well, one of the things that they realized is that because of the introduction of oil, that we were having a huge population boom, and because of this huge population boom, it was going to put unnecessary stressors not only on the planet and the environment, but they also realized that the population boom was going to lead to resource wars in the future, and so that actually changed government policy. So government policy has generally been, just kind of be reactionary, but what we ended up doing as part of that is, and there's actually like a 4-volume history of Global 2000 and how it became Global 2000. Okay, and I got to read. I read one of the volumes. It was pretty interesting. Okay, but the thing is while we look at all this and go, okay, well, there's going to be resource wars in the future. What do you think the United States government would do, and what would you do if you knew that there was going to be scarce resources? You would start to subjugate those that have the resources so that you could maintain your current lifestyle and, screw the rest of the world. Okay, and this is basically what started that. And it wasn't until Kennedy got in. So when they did the Ford Foundation report, then they tried to put it in before Truman got put out, but they put the government portion of it on hold. And when Eisenhower came in, he said, screw the New Deal shit. So what they did is they wrote the Paley report, which would be Global 2000. And that was introduced under the Kennedy administration because they expected, Kennedy being a Democrat, that he would go ahead and follow through on a lot of that. Okay, and so after he passed, we got LBJ, and then we ended up getting Nixon. And Nixon, thinking he wanted to be the popular president, and so he started allowing these green energy, the climate change activists to start influencing policy. And around it, in the 1960s, like around 1967, 69, somewhere around there, they started introducing sexual education and contraception into schools. Well, this was part of their whole thing. See, what the government realized was that, or at least the way that the government thinks is that you and I are too stupid to be able to do the right thing on our own. So therefore, they've got to create government policy to be able to fix the situation. So what they started doing with Global 2000 and with these activists getting in the White House, especially under the Nixon administration and under other administrations as well, is they implemented policies that would reduce the birth rate. Well, how do you reduce the birth rate? You reduce the birth rate by destroying the family, by creating all these marginalized groups, by victimizing people, by doing all these things, because nobody's going to want to procreate if they have all these different stressors that are going on. So, there a lot of people is like, why do I want to have a family if my family is going to be broken up? There's no point. Like, even me and my wife, before my son was born, we were talking about not having children. Why would you want to bring a child into this environment? I mean, look at what they're doing in the schools, and look at what they're doing publicly. Look at how public policy is geared towards destroying the family and destroying the nuclear unit, and all in the name of population control. Now, in the 1970s, we as a population, we took responsibility and we said, okay, we'll go ahead and we'll start reducing our birth rate. We'll start being responsible. Well, the government didn't like this very much, and so therefore they decided to double down and start implementing their own policies to kind of circumvent the responsible ones here in America, that we're realizing that, hey, the population is getting too big. We need to be responsible. Just like you don't want to have too big of a deer population or too big of any type of population. Same thing with the human population. You don't want too many. You don't want too many. Here, guys, I got to show you this. This is, if I can get it around. Do you see that there? Those are pretty dresses. Okay, so anyways, so this is a lot of what we're seeing happen today, a lot of what we're seeing happen long term, and that we've been watching happen for all these years, and all these complaints that we've been making really goes down to population control and the government using policy to do it. But yet, look at the soup that they've created in all of this. Okay, and what this has led to is the end of the American empire. You can debate all you want, but whoever assassinated John F. Kennedy, it was a coup on this country, because once you took out the head of state, and if you look at the corruption behind LBJ, you would come to an easy conclusion that whoever took out JFK had LBJ in their back pocket, to the point where they did create some sort of military coup, or whether it be, as Kennedy was trying to warn us about, the secret societies and the clandestine government organizations like the NSA and the CIA and the whole alphabet soup. Okay, and so what this ended up doing is they were able to use this moving forward. If you remember, RFK got shot, Reagan got shot. There's been a couple other assassination attempts, and a lot of this goes into spooking, to be able to spook the individual that's running the country at the time. So whatever president may be, is to be able to point back and say, well, we did this to JFK, we did this to RFK, we did this to Reagan, we did this to this guy, and we did this to this guy. Do you really want to cross us? And so therefore, that's the reason why a lot of these people are able to, to usurp the control that they have. But this is what happens when we have leaders that have been compromised, either for their own salvation or for their own greed, because each person has their own vices. Some, if you look at our earlier presidents, they weren't greedy. They would have done it more out of self-preservation than anything, versus our modern presidents are more greedy than anything. So all you got to really do is you got to pay them off, and you got to buy them off. Okay, so this has created created a perfect situation for a civil war. Not only do we have the population control policies, but now we've got divisive politics. No one listens to each other, and everybody is red states are getting redder, blue states are getting bluer. People are repositioning themselves into parts of the country where they want to be when this whole thing comes to a full-on crash. And if you listen to certain talking heads, there are let's see, Popular Preparedness actually said this, that since 2008 we have never recovered from that crash. Now on paper it may look like we have, and that may also be because of inflation and because they're able to fix the numbers. I mean, we haven't gotten an honest employment number in at least 15 years, so what would make you think that anything else was different? And so we got to see the crash from 2008, and the warnings that we got from then is like, okay, if we kick this thing down the road, if we keep kicking this can down the road, it's going to be 10 times worse than anywhere else than any other time. And now we get to deal with that as well, and that is becoming an issue to begin with, as far as financial politics or the financial policy goes. So not only are we watching our country being shredded by government policy, but we're being mismanaged by our clandestine rulers that have made sure to usurp control over our different branches of government. And then economically, we are now being enslaved because of the decisions that a few made for their own self-preservation at the cost of the many. Okay, and so with 2020, we've had supply chain issues. Now we've got global wars that are affecting the supply chain, such as Ukraine, such as the Middle East, such as what's going on with Yemen and the Houthis, and all of this is coming to fruition. One of the things that my grandfather would always tell me is that if I implemented an economic policy today, it would take 4 years for it to come, and so that we'd be able to see it. Well, it's been 4 years since the 2020 shutdown. Now we're actually getting to really see the full-on ramifications of what the shutdown did, and it's going to be an economic collapse beyond anything that we could have imagined or fathomed. And this isn't just going to happen here in America, but this is going to happen to the whole globe, which then will allow them the opportunity to go to war. And what is a war going to do? This war that we're looking at going into right now could very well be an extinction level event, just because of the amount of heinous weapons that we have access to as a militaristic society on all sides. Okay, so this could be something that would really actually thin down the population. So is this part of a plan? Those that survive and are prepared, were they predestined to survive because they understood what was going on? I.e., I'm talking about our elites that are building bunkers. Okay, these people are building bunkers because they know what's coming. They understand they're in the know. They're able to be ahead of the game. That's why they're rich to begin with, is because they've always been ahead of the game. And now these guys, these individuals, are allowing our country to be flooded, so that they actually have someone to protect them. Because you see these migrants that are coming across the border, apparently 50% of them are being met by MEPS. And if you know anything what MEPS is, that's Military Entry Processing Station. That's where you go when you go to do your weigh-in and pick your job and sit down with somebody, and they're going to tell you what your life is going to be like in the whatever branch of military you join. So these people are coming across the border, and also in California, they're giving these guys preferential treatment to be able to join the law enforcement as well. So why would they be doing something like this unless you need to bring in somebody? I like to equate it to how the baby boomers kind of screwed over society. They hated their first round of children, but realized that when they got old, they needed someone to take care of them. So they went and had a second round of children called the millennials, and they spoiled them rotten, hoping that by being nice to them that they would be there to take care of them when they get old and decrepit, and nobody else wants to take care of them because of how how they treated their first round of children. Well, our elites are doing a lot of the same thing. Instead of, Americans being the first round of children, and these border jumpers, these migrants, these refugees are, in a lot of ways, they are the second wave of children, hoping that the elites hope will stand there and protect them against the very people that they've screwed over. Okay, and so this is why we're seeing. So if you look in society, if you look at what's going on a large scale level, and if you sit back and look at it from like a thousand foot viewpoint, like look at the big picture, and you look at cause and effect, and you ask yourself these questions, you might come to the same conclusions. Now, these are just my opinions based upon what I've observed, my knowledge of history, and those different things. Okay, so I'm going to go through and I'm going to answer any questions or respond to any comments that anybody has said, and then I'm going to give you guys an actual update, and we're going to go from there. So, okay, so I said hi to Tim. Yeah, damn win. Okay. Henry Ford's The International Jew is a fun read. Okay, I haven't read that one. Yeah, I found the Standard Oil antitrust laws a bit funny. Well, yeah, you want to talk about funny? Look at, when he basically got to keep the company, but he had to split it into 5 and have the illusion of competition, even though there is no competition, because all the money ends up in the same place. So, I think it was Rockefeller who said competition is a sin. Okay, so people can't afford to procreate now, and that's the way by design. But yet now they're saying we're going to have a population collapse. So they want to keep their control, but then they want us to keep breeding. And how do you get your livestock to breed when you give them every condition not to? Because that's kind of the way that we're being looked at. Infestation of yard bastards. I like that one. Hey, Al, good day. Hi, BC, nice to see you. So if any of you guys have any questions about things that are going on with me, things like that, I'd be more than happy to answer these questions. It's just, I've been observing some of the things that have been going on, and I'm asking, why is this happening? How is this happening? And, it just became something that, I don't know. I look at it and I just go, okay, well, this is, what's the answer to this? And if you look at it from a cause and effect, okay, the law of causation is in full force here. What the law of causation is if I punch you, you're going to punch me back. If I push you, you're going to fall, or you're going to fall backwards in one form or fashion. Okay, that's the law of causation. If you create policies that destroy the family, eventually what's going to happen is you are going to create a situation where you have a population collapse. And so how do you fix that population collapse? Well, you double down on a bad decision and let a lot of people that shouldn't even be here, instead of actually fixing the problem. Because the thing is we'd rather get all of the benefits versus actually having some sort of accountability as a society. And for the last 30 years, this is something that has been really pushed on society, is that is the, what do I call it, the limited liability society, all benefits, no consequences. Okay, and this is what's causing the issues out here for people to become homeless. So I have somebody, a female, that I'm supposed to be interviewing here probably towards the end of the month. She's going to give me female safety tips, and I'm going to get her story. But I asked her what put her out. She said just a string of bad luck. And there's a lot of people that are showing up out here. Does she have a drug issue? No, not yet. Does she have any other problems? No. She just kind of had a string of bad luck. She's still trying to work, still trying to get up on her feet. But the thing is now she gets to live this lifestyle. And a lot of this is happening because of the bad decisions that we make, and then doubling down on them and making more bad decisions instead of actually taking a responsible approach to what it is that's actually going on. Okay, so this is just my opinion on all this. So here's what's going to happen moving forward. Okay, because I have 3 things that I really want to do, that 3 series that will allow me to be able to create a long form content and a lot of content. Okay, and so one of the things that I want to do is so staying here in Cincinnati, one of the things that I should be doing is trying to start some sort of business. I want to be able to show a POV and kind of give behind the scenes and talk to you guys about what it's like to start a business when you're homeless, and all of the, not only the obstacles but the challenges, and just the wins and the losses that happen, because I want to be able to show you that this is an opportunity. If you're homeless and you're going to be out here on the streets, this is an opportunity not only to reinvent yourself, but to give yourself an opportunity to turn over a new leaf and create a new form of financial or just life stability. Okay, so a lot of what happens is, as soon as we get out of school, we go get a job, and sometimes that prevents us from going to college. Sometimes that creates obstacles for us to be able to get into trade schools, or to be able to learn trades, to be able to move up and make the money that we need to make, or that we would like to make, moving forward, because we're taught from an early age that you need to go get a job, get a place, pay your bills. Well, that leaves no time to be able to create a foundation where you can have the lifestyle in which you want. Now, you could look at this as like a second chance in life, a second opportunity that will allow you the ability to restart and to have the time to build that foundation. Because the thing is once you've become homeless, it becomes much easier to become homeless again. So if you really want to be able to defeat homelessness, you've got to be able to go through a process where you what's the word I'm looking at? You got to go through a process where you're creating a situation that is stable enough that you will not become homeless again. Okay, because that's why I started my business to begin with, way back when. And if it wasn't for a Black Swan event, I would still be in business, and there's really nothing that I could do to change that. Okay, you can prepare for all the things that you want to prepare for, but it does not mean that you're 100% prepared. It just means that you're prepared for these different scenarios, and as long as one of those scenarios happens, you're prepared. But if something that you didn't think of happens, or something that you couldn't prepare or plan for happens, such as shutdowns, and just the craziness, the psychosis of society, you always run that risk. But the thing is, once you've learned how to start a business, once you've learned how to work for yourself, and how to be able to create your own work, and get yourself up on your feet without having to rely on going out to find a job, because maybe there may not be a lot of jobs out there, but you can freelance like a mother out there too. Okay. The other thing that I want to cover is, I want to cover the whole from homeless to housed, the benefits process. A lot of people, especially with what's going on in Houston and the rapid rehousing, there are a lot of the country is starting to pick up this housing first and do rapid rehousing for the homeless. Now, I don't know what the prerequisites are and all that other stuff. I know that there is a city across the river that does it, and they do rapid rehousing, and I'm going to check into that. But I'm also going to see what Cincinnati does for rapid rehousing as well. Okay, because that again is something that has come from Cincinnati, and I would love to be able to document this, so that those of you that may become homeless, that want to take this route and get back, get a roof over your head and get back to stability, that you can at least know the ropes and be able to navigate the system without all of the stumbling blocks that I may have to go through. So I'll be able to teach you how to go through it from beginning to end, to avoid a lot of the obstacles at which I've had the opportunity to go through. Okay, and then last but not least, I want to do homeless survival tips. Okay, these homeless survival tips will teach you, because whether you're starting a business or you're trying to get a rapid rehousing or get housed, you still need to learn and know how to be able to operate and conduct yourself, and how to survive out here being homeless. Now, right now, homelessness isn't a big issue, but give it over the next couple of years, as everything starts to fall apart much faster than what it already has. I mean, we're at all-time levels right now. They're starting the whole eviction process and the whole foreclosure process after sitting on it for a couple of years. So you've got a whole bunch of properties that are in the hopper. But the thing is the bank, in order to be able to keep to save face and to be able to keep property values up, may have to allow you to stay in that property until the market looks like it's about to It's about to change, okay, and go for the better. And so you might be able to keep in your house just because of circumstances and the way that everything else is collapsing, okay? But that's a 50-50 crapshoot. You're playing Russian roulette and you're hoping that you win, okay? And this is just something that that you should be prepared for, is that you have a 30 to 50% chance of losing everything that you have in this global economic collapse that we're right on the tip of dealing with. I mean, with what happened in the Baltimore harbor, that's going to affect the supply chain. You affect the supply chain, you affect small businesses, because if they can't bring products to market, then they can't open their doors. If they can't open their doors, that means they can't hire people, which means they have to lay people off, okay? And then we almost had one happen in New York Harbor just a few days ago. I mean, and this is becoming more than just a coincidence. So our supply chain is under attack. Our infrastructure is under attack. And if any of that infrastructure goes down, it affects us all. Whether it be technology, it's definitely going to affect me. How many of your jobs are dependent upon technology in one form or fashion, that if the internet went down or if your network went down, could you still go to work and be productive? And if you're down for long enough and you can't pay your bills because you're not getting paid for it, how long until you end up to become homeless, okay? These are things that you're going to have to prepare for and consider with the series of events that's going on. Now, it may happen in many different ways, and it may happen to you differently than it happened to me, or different than it happens to someone else. But whether or not it's going to happen is not an if, it's more like a when. And it's just going to be what percentage of the population is affected. If we have 10 to 15% homelessness, that will be as bad, if not worse, than what we saw during the Great Depression. That means that we have let's see, 35 plus 17 is so 45, 50, about 52 million people that would be without a place to live, okay? That's at 15%, okay? The 52 million people, and instead of, and how many of those people are going to be displaced workers because migrants were hired instead of Americans, okay? All those different things, okay? So it's becoming a giant clusterfuck. That's all I can really say. So, okay, same boat, Bush. Okay, like your beard. Thank you. We love red. Hey Anarchy, nice to see you. Just a guest, nice to see you. So so those are the three offshoots that I'm gonna do, okay? And so right now what I'm working on is creating myself a schedule so that I can, because here's the thing, I need to get 20 to 30,000 views per month on this channel, okay? And that means that if I'm only releasing 2 videos a week, that means I need to get about 7,000 views between 2 videos a week. To be able to meet the goals that I need, plus whatever foundation that I've created, because I've got several of these videos, and part of the reason why I'm doing this website. Please come over and check out and subscribe to hobotuck.com. Subscribe to my newsletter. You'll get my blogs. So sometimes some of you guys you like to watch my videos, but you may not have time to watch my video, but you'd like to at least know what the video was about. That's what a lot of these articles are, because what I'm using them for is my SEO for my YouTube channel and just for all of my content to begin with. Because as people are searching for keywords or searching content or searching for answers for things, based upon the articles that I'm writing, it brings up enough information to be able to tell Google that I'm the right fit for whatever it is that these people are looking for, and therefore it's going to move me up in ranking, and I will get more exposure, so that I don't have to worry about getting so many views per video, because I have a lot of my content being viewed because it's ranked in search, okay? And that's something that I'm working on as well. Okay, so the current economy, when scaled, is already worse than the Great Depression. Possibly, but the difference between the Great Depression and now, see, a collapse is when you have an excessive amount of money. A depression is when all the money goes away. We went from like $30 or $40 in circulation per person down to $16.50 per person in circulation. That's one thing that people don't talk about when it comes to the Great Depression, is that we had a deflation of the currency. That's why everything went down to become so cheap. It's because there wasn't enough currency in circulation. So you had an abundance of goods and very little of the money, so therefore everything was you could go buy a pack of cigarettes for a penny, okay, because there was only $16.50 in circulation per person, okay, versus what we pay now for cigarettes, because there's a couple $100,000 in circulation per person, okay. So hey, Ironwood, nice to see you. Hello. Start a podcast. Well, this is kind of a podcast. That's kind of what the what the live streams are. Is it's supposed to be some sort of podcast. That's kind of the way I've looked at it. I don't know. What's the difference between a podcast and a live stream? Tell me that, and I'll tell you if I'm doing a podcast or not. But anyways, so I mean, that's what I'm working on as far as the channel goes, and as far as being able to get views. Because, starting this business, what business is it that I want to start? Okay, and I've talked about it before. It fits in tourism. But the thing is people want to be able to get real-time reviews of restaurants, and there's not a lot of reviews of restaurants out there. And so I think that I can find a niche and do reviews for restaurants and get paid while doing it. Not only get paid, get free food and good food for doing it. I've already experienced it once with Silver Spoon, because he was the one that got the first free meal that I'd ever done. If you guys saw that video, if you're over on Patreon, you can find the video. It's what is it? A Taste of Paradise or something like that. So I always look at money, velocity, and the scale, and scale it to inflation. Okay. When it comes to money, I know a lot about its creation and how it's used, but as far as how it's valued, I'm not really, that's where I'm not smart at. So, I mean, you may know more than me on that subject. Okay, guys. So, anyways, it seems like sometimes we have really, really good conversations, and sometimes we don't. Do you guys prefer that I talk about current events when I do my live streams, or do you guys prefer that I come in with a topic that kind of ties things together and ties it into homelessness? Like, what is it that you guys prefer, that you find most interesting about the live streams that I do? Because I've done them on all different subjects, and it seems like whenever I do the homeless topic and I find a good topic, you guys show up, and it becomes it gets really really interesting in here, and I love it when it gets interesting. I like it when the live stream goes like 2 hours, because that means that you guys got me talking, and I couldn't stop. And so that's something that I like. So no kids is better, economy is going to shit. I don't understand what you mean, James. So no kids is better, economy is going, yeah, okay, I see what you're saying. So yeah, because of the economy, why would you want to have kids? Exactly. If we were to make having a kid as stringent as we do for someone adopting a kid, I think we would have a lot different society. We would have a lot more responsible society, because you have to have a certain amount of money put aside. You need to be able to make sure that you can cover expenses, medical bills, upkeep, and the ability to give that child a decent life. And plus they do like a psych eval on you to make sure you're not going to, be abusive to the kids and stuff like that. If they were to do something like that in order for you to have a child, I think that is something that I think that would kind of change the trajectory that we're on as a world. Will it save us from what we got going on over the next couple of years? Probably not. But if we start it now, it may make a lasting impact in the future. Lungs. I like that song. It was a decent song. I still got to process it, because it was like you said, it was very precise words, Ironwood. So food, it's expensive, rent's expensive, hard getting jobs because of mass immigration. Yeah, well, it shouldn't be hard to get jobs because of mass immigration. But the thing is we have companies that are firing Americans so that they can hire these immigrants, and they're calling them refugees now, giving them citizenship status, giving them the ability to vote. Essentially, the American people have been usurped, and we don't even know it, or we just don't care. Okay, and this in itself, I mean, if you really want to be honest with yourself, that you could almost call it an act of war what the government is doing, not to its people, but that is a different conversation. That is just food for thought. It's an opinion, does not make it fact. I am not trying to create hysteria in any way, shape, or form, but it just kind of seems that way. So I like the stuff you've been doing in the videos the last week, live stream. I like whatever the chat and you were talking about. Okay, good. So I just need to kind of leave it open and kind of get some conversation starters going. Okay, I think I can do that in the next live stream. So during the spring and summer, at least until it starts getting dark around like 7 o'clock, in the evening, I'm going to be doing live streams like around 6:30, 7 o'clock, 6 o'clock. I'm trying to find an exact time. So today I got out of St. Anthony's early because the fryer wasn't there, but I went and I got they do was it pedicures where they clean your feet and clip your nails and get all the stuff off of your feet and stuff like that. So I went and got that done today, thinking that would make me late. But with the river being flooded, I kind of had to start a little bit early because here Sam is tied to the thing. Let me show you guys exactly how bad this was. Sam, you stay there. I'll be right back. So let's go take a look at this river, and I will show you. So right now, I am about 15 feet above the current sea level. Okay. And you guys see the river right there, okay? Now, if you were on Patreon, you saw this area that I'm showing, you saw it flooded about 2 days ago, okay? So this is something that look at this, okay. So let's look here. All right, let's see. Okay, so you see that there? You see where the water line was? Okay, so that was up. Okay, so if you guys can see this slope right here, okay, so the water came all the way up inside this little alcove here. That pathway was underwater all the way up to, if you can see it way back here, that's where they put the barrier, and that was partially underwater. So it came all the way up to almost the wall level, okay? And this has been about 5 days now that it's been going down, but as you see, that slope drops down about 15 feet and, has been going down. If you see, so you see right there where there's a little path that goes off to the side, that's actually the down area. So when you see me and Sam and we talk about, sleeping by the river and stuff like that, that's the path that we go down to, and that takes you around. But that is, with that being flooded, you can't even. It basically is about 5 feet below the wall, and it needs to drop about another 10 to 15 feet. So this water level, just because of the rain that we got here in Ohio, just it went up, and I mean, like, the river was overflowing. The last time I saw something like this was in the late 90s in Oregon, when we got these big windstorms, and then we got like 320 inches of rain in 1 year, and it flooded half of downtown. And we normally get like 250, 270 inches of rain a year or something like that. Maybe I'm thinking 25 inches of rain, and we got 30 inches of rain or something like that. But we got so much rain that year that OMSI and everything, like half of downtown Portland, flooded. Well, this with the river going up is about as bad, but they have the infrastructure here to be able to act as barriers in some way. But half this park was undone. Let me take you over to one more spot just to kind of um, show you guys like the sediment and stuff like that that was left. Okay, so let's see here. Okay, so as you can see all that down there. That's where the river was. The river came up to hold on. This tree right here, it came to about a couple feet below that tree. Okay, so but you see all that sediment and stuff like that. That's how far up the water came. And I mean, we barely got a beach over there now, and we didn't have a beach a couple days ago. Okay, so maybe start with the subject and see where everybody talks about. Okay, everyone talks about. Okay, he's tied up. Where is he gonna? Um, yeah. So, yeah, Sam is. Well, you know what? She will run off with my bag. She's tried a couple of times, especially when we're in Pensacola. Okay, guys. So if nobody has any questions, I'm gonna go ahead and tie this up. There's two things that I would like you guys to do that are gonna help me out with every video moving forward. One is make sure you share the video. If you're not a subscriber, become a subscriber. Don't forget to hit that like button, but make sure you share the video. The other thing is help me with website traffic and come over and check out and subscribe to my newsletter over at hobotuck.com. The more traffic that I get, the more that it's just like the more views that I get on YouTube means the more views I'm going to get, because YouTube sees it that people like it, people engage in it, people are going to it. Same thing goes with my website. If you want to help me out and do the free things. Now, as far as my tip jar moving forward, I need to run a test transaction. So if one of you guys would like to go to my website and there's a leave a donation or something like that, it's one of the top tabs, or it's pay.hobotuck.com. And if you want to leave a tip in the tip jar today, leave it in there, because I need to watch how the processing takes place, because I talked with GoDaddy today and they said, well, it'll take like like 2 days to process, but you'll get it. And I'm like, oh, okay, I can deal with that, because it's going to cost me a lot less to deal with than the fees, because I'm paying about 15 to 20% of everything that I make on PayPal, and I'm not paying that much on CashApp, but most people use PayPal. So this payment processor it's anonymous. It's not tied to PayPal or anybody else. It's my own merchant services, so I don't have to worry about like what happened to the truckers and the trucker protests. None of that should happen unless the merchant themselves does that to me, and that's going to be kind of hard. Okay. So moving forward, that is where my tip jar is going to move. I'm going to take away PayPal. I'm going to leave Cash App up, because there are some people that just like to do Cash App, and that's fine. But as far as getting rid of PayPal, I want to get rid of PayPal and switch it over to my website. Okay. So, okay. I grew up on the Ohio River and the Missouri River. The Ohio River is no joke. It moves a lot of water out of the Appalachian Mountains. Yeah, I could tell. There is a lot of water movement. It is moving fast, and if you were swimming out in the middle of it, I saw a little bit of an undercurrent. Man, you could very easily not survive swimming in this river with this as fast and treacherous as it is. I haven't seen a river like this since the Snake River. So, as far as moving fast and with the undercurrent and stuff like that. But anyways, guys, thank you for watching. Thank you for being part of the channel. I love seeing you guys. I love being able to have these talks with you. I will see you guys Saturday. And it will probably be in the early afternoon, because on Saturdays I can do them on the inside, because we can do them earlier in the day, versus during the weekdays I kind of got to do them after everybody gets off work, for those that are doing the whole 9 to 5 thing. Okay, so anyways, guys, thank you for being here. Thank you for being a part of this, and I will see you guys Saturday during the live stream. And for those of you that are on Patreon, you'll see the behind the scenes tomorrow.